Dying Light 2 has some fascinating pieces of content that were cut from the game, some of which I was personally responsible for breaking the news about a few years ago. Today we're going to take a look at that content and discuss what's been found in the game files, and we're also going to take a look at future DLC and address where that cut content fits into Techland's post-launch roadmap. This roadmap outlines the paid DLC and free updates that Techland intends to bring to Dying Light 2 in the near future, as well as just generally making it very clear that they intend to support this game for at least 5 years, and they also intend to release the biggest game updates so far by the end of April that will finally introduce a new Game Plus mode and incentivize multiple playthroughs. But until then, we've got some waiting to do. And I know you're probably thinking, great, what am I gonna do while I pass the time waiting for more content to come for this game? Well, me personally, I'm gonna be parked on a rooftop veggie garden, smashing back some salad, making money, and theorizing in the official Dying Light 2 Discord server with the boys. That's right, this video is sponsored by Salad. Salad is a really well-designed piece of software that uses your computer's resources to mine crypto while you're not even using your computer. While you're in bed dreaming of that next Dying Light 2 DLC, Salad is steadily generating a balance of store credit that you can use to purchase games, gift vouchers, subscriptions, or you can even donate it directly to charity. Making purchases in the Salad store is the way that these guys make money, and you get to enjoy some goodies that you literally earned in your sleep. They don't even take a cut of your profits from the mining itself. All of that goes directly to you, which I personally use to pay for my Discord Nitro membership, and Salad is officially partnered with Discord, so it works out pretty great. And I will admit I was pretty skeptical at first, but this is one of the cases where the more that I looked into the company, the more genuinely impressed I became. They've got great reviews on Trustpilot, their source code is publicly available to look at, they have different options available if your PC hardware isn't all that great, and they have fully transparent articles regarding everything you need to know before you even begin. Once again, I really like it, and if you do want to sign up and give it a try, use code COLOSSAL to double your earnings. That's 2 times the earning rate with code COLOSSAL. Thank you, Salad, for sponsoring my video. And now we're going to add a little bit of protein to the salad, because we're going to talk about hunting animals. Let's go! That was really bad. Dying Light 2 contains a small range of animals in-game, mainly acting as environmental objects. You know, you've got chickens, goats, there are birds flying around, there's a dog, but we don't talk about the dog, and that's it. You don't really get to interact with them in any way, aside from the time when you get to barbecue a goat using an electric fence, but it turns out Techland originally had much more planned with animals in Dying Light 2. I remember being back at E3 2019 and noticing that there were deer running around in the demo that they were showing off, so I took an opportunity to ask about the animals in an interview that I conducted, and here's what happened.
I saw, actually, that's something people have been wondering, if there are animals in the game, and I did see during the demo there was some deer running around. Can we hunt these animals, use them for food, resources for crafting?
Just like you said.
Okay, awesome. We can hunt animals, people.
Well, that was easy. I definitely wasn't expecting such a straightforward answer at the time, especially since most of the stuff was off limits to talk about in detail, so they had to be very vague, but there we had it. Now, I do want to make it clear that Techland never advertised the feature of hunting animals in any of their own marketing material. It's just something that was confirmed through a conversation in an interview. Nevertheless, Dying Light 2 was planned to allow the player to hunt animals for food and crafting resources, but not just goats and chickens. Community modder and Dying Light legend Bub dug into the game files and discovered many other wild animals, which led to Best Gamer Ali actually spawning in some of them for a video. There were alligators, parrots, vultures, wolves, herons, gazelles that were planned for the game, and even horses and saddles that you can use to ride around and use them as mounts. This is actually pretty cool, and I know I'm not the only one getting Far Cry vibes here. Another fascinating little discovery found in the game's code is something referred to as Night Runner difficulty. Now, it is a bit vague, and it looks like it's probably unfinished as well, so we can't confirm that this refers to like a whole new difficulty setting, like Nightmare mode, for instance, you know, a harder than hard mode, but it is still a possibility that that's maybe what they're gonna call it. I mean, Techland has hinted that they're gonna bring out new difficulty modes, and of course there's a whole New Game Plus update that's coming very soon. There have also been rumors of a survival mode in Dying Light 2, which is something that people have been asking for since the first game. If hunting animals does end up making it into the game via post-launch content, I see it happening in one of two ways, either through a survival mode difficulty that's added in a game update, or just in a completely separate map, like the Dying Light the Following expansion from the first game, a countryside area specifically designed to work with wild animals as a gameplay feature, rather than trying to squeeze them in and, make it work in the current version of the game. I mean, even this article came out where lead game designer, once again, Timon Smektala, mentioned that he and the team have some crazy ideas specifically for a Dying Light 2 version of The Following. And wouldn't the horse make for a great way to travel around that DLC, essentially acting as Dying Light 2's version of the dune buggy? Now, none of this is confirmed, of course, but the chances are looking pretty decent, especially considering Techland's track record of listening to the community. And in that same article, Timon mentions that the first story DLC, which according to the post-launch roadmap is set to be released in June, will be a small-scale DLC, but that they have much bigger DLC releases in mind for the future. Considering we didn't get the Following expansion until an entire year after the release of the first game, I'd say we're gonna be waiting a while before we get that Following 2.0 DLC and before we're able to hunt animals. But what would we even hunt those animals with? That's right, we're going to talk about guns. These transitions are getting pretty good. I mean, there are bows and arrows, and you could just use arrows. And let's talk about guns. One of the weapons that took center stage during Techland's E3 2019 presentation was the Scorpio, a very powerful limited-time opportunity weapon that deals insane damage but can't actually be kept in your inventory. In the retail version of Dying Light 2, we have spears that basically act in the same exact way, right? You can throw them, you can't stash them in your inventory, but they deal a lot of damage. But the spears are really the only weapon in this limited-time opportunity weapon category. I mean, you do have like bottles and stuff, but they really don't count. And it's kind of disappointing that the spears are the only ones in the game, especially since you can't throw melee weapons anymore, and I know that I was far from alone in wondering where on earth is the Scorpio. If you're wondering what all the hype is about, the Scorpio was a hybrid weapon that had two different functions, firearm and melee weapon. It was basically a hammer with a hidden gun attachment. Now, when functioning as a makeshift firearm, it essentially acted like a gun. It had limited amount of high damage ammunition that you could fire at your enemies, and even once it ran out of ammo, you still had the option of flipping it around and using it as a viable two-handed blunt weapon. The way that we saw the player acquire it in that 2019 gameplay was by killing a renegade enemy who was holding it and just stealing it from them. Now, first of all, can we just acknowledge how sick that is? I mean, as someone who is madly in love with Bloodborne and its beautifully designed trick weapons, the idea of a multifunctional hybrid weapon just seems so cool to me. But this also makes me wonder, how many other items were there like this one that we never got to see? Why was the Scorpio scrapped from the game, and is it possible that we'll see this weapon return in the form of DLC? Well, I reached out to Techland and they weren't able to share any information about it, but I think it's safe to say that you shouldn't get your hopes up about the Scorpio appearing in future DLC. I mean, for a weapon to be featured front and center and then not be available at launch, it was clearly removed for a reason, and it would honestly be pretty weird to introduce it again in post-launch content. And of course, there are two ranged weapons that we did get in the final game that were not advertised, at least not until very close to release, which were the crossbow and the boomstick, and not to mention there are several bows that we can use too. It is possible that the inclusion of the Scorpio made those ranged weapons a little redundant, or even just that the hybrid system didn't work well. But man, I remember being so proud when I posted an interview with the creative director Adrian Shashevsky, aka Pisa. This was that same interview where hunting animals was mentioned, by the way. And just being the first person to break the news not only about hunting animals, but about this whole new category of limited time weapons and uncovering the true functionality behind the mysterious Scorpio, only for it to never be seen again. There are also plenty of rumors about actual guns being cut from the game. In the game files, you've got different kinds of ammunition and crosshair reticles that aren't present in the final game, and not to mention the whole mystery of a gun stash being hidden somewhere in Dying Light 2, which Timon actually did comment on in a recent interview. He refers to the in-game reasoning for there being no guns in the game, and hints at a secret gun stash being hidden somewhere, reminding us that Techland has a 5-year plan for post-launch content, and that it is possible that we will find those guns someday. It sounds like overall Techland are just very encouraging about the community's search for firearms, and that they're listening to what the player base wants. Me personally, I don't really think the game needs guns, but let me know what you think. Back to that E3 2019 demo for a moment, one small but pretty cool feature that was mostly removed was the ability to pull open vent hatches and huge environmental objects like barrels with the grappling hook. I say mostly because Aussie GG proved that it's still possible, but only in one specific area of the game, which is coincidentally the same area that you could originally get the Scorpio weapon from. It looks like they kind of just ditched this feature altogether, but they also didn't get around to removing it from the test area where they implemented it in the first place. Another fascinating feature that was cut from the game but was never actually spoken about publicly was infected hives, and this was found once again by Bub, who found it in the game files, and then it was brought to light by Ty from Backboard Films. These hives were densely packed with zombies, and destroying them would lower the infected population of the surrounding area, making it safer at night, and thus improving the assortment of items that you can purchase from local vendors. There's also the huge castle in the distance known as the PK Citadel. You can actually explore this if you get out of bounds, along with this really fascinating piece of architecture that I'm pretty sure we originally saw back in 2018. There's a really solid theory going around that all of this ties into the upcoming kind of leaked DLC Elysium that was found within the game files, and Ty from Backboard Films honestly just has the best video on this topic, so I'll go ahead and link that in the description. And the last thing on my list is wildcard factions. Just what happened here? Like, it's one of those things that I can't say for certain was cut from the game, because wildcard factions could mean a lot of things. Was it referring to the Carriers Guild, or Juan's group of suppliers, or whatever they're called? Does it refer to the random factionless bandits running around trying to attack you and saying, "You're dead, fucker"? All I'm saying is that it would have been pretty nice to have quest lines for random little factions. You know, kind of reminiscent of the Dark Brotherhood or the Thieves Guild from the Elder Scrolls series. Just getting something, feeling like you are building a reputation and getting rewards for it. Even with the Carriers Guild, like, you don't even get the uniform. Like, they wear such a sick uniform. Let me wear that damn thing. Speaking of cut content, I'm going to be shifting the focus on this channel a little bit. I'm going to be uploading less frequently, but it's going to be higher quality projects, bigger videos, so that every time I upload on this channel, you know it's going to be an absolute banger. And then some usual like Dying Light news, updates, and all that really dedicated Dying Light stuff, the smaller videos, they're going to be moving over to my second channel, Micro Kiwi. Really, I'm going to be posting even more frequently than I ever have before. It's just going to be split between two different channels, so if you like the dedicated Dying Light 2 stuff, make sure you sub to the second channel, and once again, please consider signing up for Salad and using code Colossal to double your earnings. Like, real talk for a moment, I've been at this YouTube thing for like over 7 years, and in all that time, I've never once accepted a sponsorship. Salad is the first, and Lord knows I've received a lot of offers over those years, but now I've actually resigned from my day job. I'm finally living my dream of doing YouTube full-time, and so it genuinely does mean a lot to me if you were to support my sponsored collaborations and use my referral code. Anyway, I've got to get back to working on a really big Dying Light 2 video project, so take care guys, we'll speak soon.